The Korath Dominion was a name that spread fear across the stars. For centuries they had ruled with iron claws and fiery blades. Their fleets were strong, their soldiers merciless, and their leaders proud beyond measure. Every species that had crossed their path either bent the knee or was crushed into silence. To the Korath there was no equal in the galaxy. Their home, Korath Prime, was no gentle world. It was a place where storms could rip mountains apart, where oceans boiled with venomous creatures, and where every night brought out predators that could kill even the strongest warrior. On that planet, life was war from the moment one took a first breath. Infants learned to crawl under falling ash. Children learned to fight beasts twice their size. By the time they reached adulthood, a Korath was already a seasoned survivor. This was why they called themselves the Deathworlders. To live on Korath Prime was proof of strength unmatched, and for generations they believed they were the only ones forged in such fire. Other species lived on peaceful worlds, on gentle planets filled with rivers, flowers, and skies unbroken by storms. To the Korath, those creatures were weak. They had never faced a sky filled with poison or a land that tried to kill them every hour. So the Korath looked upon the galaxy with arrogance. They conquered weaker races without hesitation. They took worlds for resources, built fortresses in the stars, and laughed at any who dared resist. No empire could match them, or so they thought. One day, as the Dominion expanded farther into the Orion Arm, their fleets picked up strange signals. These were not the usual trade beacons or diplomatic transmissions. The signals were full of stories, voices speaking of courage, of survival, of standing against impossible odds. At first the Korath were amused. Who else dared speak of strength as if they knew its meaning? But the signals did not stop. They grew stronger, coming from colonies the Korath had never noticed before. The High Council of the Dominion gathered in their grand chamber, a hall built of black stone and burning torches. The High Commander, Varkal Dran, stood at the center. His voice echoed like thunder as he declared, "No one else carries the name of Deathworlder. If there are others who claim it, we will face them. And we will prove again that only the Korath deserve such honor." The council agreed, and a fleet was sent to investigate. Weeks later, the Korath ships emerged into human space. At first they saw nothing but scattered colonies, small stations orbiting harsh planets, outposts built in barren deserts, and mining towns clinging to the edges of frozen moons. The Korath expected to find fragile, soft creatures hiding in shelters. But what they discovered was different. On one volcanic world, humans had built entire cities on rivers of fire. Their machines dug into molten stone, pulling up rare minerals while storms of ash raged above them. On another world, where gravity was nearly twice that of Korath Prime, humans moved slowly but steadily, building homes out of rock, refusing to give up even though every step crushed their bones with weight. In frozen wastelands, humans hunted giant creatures, using teamwork and tools to bring down beasts larger than starships. The Korath commanders watched these recordings with growing unease. These were not the weak garden world species they had mocked for centuries. These were people who had stared into the face of hostile worlds and chosen not to flee, but to stay. The first direct meeting came when a Korath warship sent a signal to a human colony orbiting a barren rock. The humans did not answer with fear. Instead, they replied with simple words, "You are entering human space. State your purpose or leave." The Korath crew laughed. No one spoke to them that way. No one dared. But the humans did not stop there. They sent more warnings, each one clear and firm. They were not begging for mercy. They were defending their homes. The High Commander grew curious. Could these humans truly be so bold? To test them, he ordered a raid. A small squadron of Korath warriors attacked a human mining outpost, expecting a quick victory. It should have been simple, a show of power to make the humans bow. But what happened shocked the Korath. The miners did not run. They fought back with everything they had. They used drills, lasers, and even stones as weapons. Men and women stood side by side, protecting their colony, as if their lives were worth more than entire armies. When Korath warriors stormed the halls, humans threw themselves into the fight with reckless courage. They took wounds and kept fighting. They bled and kept moving. They burned with a fire the Korath recognized all too well. In the end, the Korath won, but not easily. For the first time in many years, they carried their own dead back to their ships. Warriors who had survived countless campaigns were lost to miners and workers who refused to surrender. Whispers spread through the Dominion's fleets. Some called the humans reckless fools. Others called them something far more dangerous, kindred. The High Commander sat in silence that night, staring at the battle reports. The humans were not like the others. They were something new, something old and familiar at the same time. They fought like Korath, they endured like Korath, and they refused to bow like Korath. For the first time in centuries, the Korath Dominion felt the edge of doubt. Could it be true? Were they not alone? Were there others, real Deathworlders out there in the stars? The answer was forming before their eyes. And soon, the galaxy would learn that the age of fear was far from over, for now there were not one, but two races of Deathworlders. The raid on the human mining outpost was supposed to be simple. The Korath warriors believed they would enter, strike fear, and leave the humans trembling. Instead, they returned carrying their own wounded and dead. The High Commander, Varkal Dran, stood silent as reports came in. The humans were not like the others. They fought with teeth, claws, and fire in their hearts. They fought like people who had no choice but to survive every single day. The Dominion had not faced such resistance in many years. To most species, the arrival of Korath ships was the end. But these humans had not begged for mercy. They had not hidden. They had fought back. That alone made them dangerous. The Korath High Council debated the matter. Some demanded a larger fleet be sent to crush the humans completely. Others urged caution. But the council agreed on one point. These humans had to be tested further. Were they truly Deathworlders, or was the raid just luck? Soon after, human leaders received the first official message from the Dominion. The words were clear, proud, and threatening. "We are the Korath Dominion, rulers of Deathworlds, lords of survival. You have shown strength. But know this, no one rivals us. You will kneel or you will fall." The humans answered in their own way. Their reply came from a council of colonies spread across harsh worlds. The message was short, sharp, and unafraid. "We do not kneel. If you come, you will find us waiting." The Korath were shocked. No one had ever dared speak to them in such plain words. The High Commander's lips curved into a smile. It was not the smile of mockery, but of anticipation. At last, after centuries of crushing weak foes, perhaps they had found worthy rivals. The second encounter came not long after. The Dominion sent a stronger force into human space, this time targeting a colony on a frozen moon called Icaron 7. The humans had built their settlement in the middle of endless glaciers, carving shelters into the ice and mining rare crystals deep beneath the surface. The world was cold, merciless, and unforgiving, conditions the Korath respected. When the Korath ships entered orbit, the humans did not retreat. They scrambled their defense ships, small and outnumbered, but fast and clever. The Korath laughed as the battle began. Surely these tiny ships would shatter under the weight of Dominion war cruisers. But the humans fought differently than expected. They did not charge head-on. Instead, they used the terrain of space itself. They hid behind moons, darted through asteroid fields, and laid traps of explosive mines. Where the Korath fought with raw power, the humans fought with cunning. They struck hard and vanished into the void, forcing the Korath to chase them like prey. Inside the colony, human soldiers prepared for the worst. They knew the Korath would land soon. When the warriors came crashing through the ice tunnels, the battle turned brutal. The humans fought in narrow corridors where the Korath's size and strength were less useful. Every room became a trap. Explosives hidden in walls, ice tunnels collapsed by controlled blasts, and flamethrowers built from mining equipment turned the battlefield into chaos. For days, the battle raged across the frozen moon. Both sides took heavy losses. The Korath were stunned by the humans' refusal to give up. Even when outnumbered, the humans never surrendered. When pushed back, they regrouped and struck again. The Dominion won ground, but slowly, painfully, and at a cost far greater than they expected. At last, the Korath withdrew. The colony stood scarred but alive. The humans raised their banners proudly over the ice once more. News of the clash spread quickly. Across human colonies, stories of victory spread like fire. They had faced the so-called Deathworlders and survived. Across the Korath Dominion, whispers grew louder. Some warriors admired the humans. Others feared them. Never before had the Dominion pulled back from such a small force. The High Commander did not see the battle as defeat. He saw it as confirmation. The humans were indeed different. They were strong, clever, and unwilling to bow. To him, that made them the most dangerous enemy, and perhaps the most valuable ally the Dominion had ever encountered. but pride still ruled the council. They would not allow equality. If humans were truly like them, then they had to be tested in the greatest way possible, on a world that could break even the strongest. So the High Commander sent a challenge. His voice echoed across both human and Korath space. If you claim the name of Deathworlder, then prove it. Meet us on the world of Vardros 9. There, storms cut the sky, the earth itself swallows armies, and beasts older than empires hunt the living. We will face you not in space, but on the ground where only the strongest survive. If you stand with us there, then we will know your worth. If you fall, then your words mean nothing. The humans debated long and hard. Some leaders urged caution, fearing a trap, but others argued that to refuse would show weakness. Humanity's strength came not from hiding, but from facing the impossible. And so, with heavy hearts and determined eyes, they accepted. The humans prepared their fleets. Soldiers gathered not with fear, but with grim resolve. They had fought their own world since the beginning of time. They had survived deserts, oceans, mountains, and skies that tried to kill them. They would survive this too. And so, both sides set their course for Vardros 9, a planet spoken of in fearful tones even among the Korath. Lightning storms split mountains, rivers of acid burned valleys, and beasts the size of cities roamed free. No empire had ever claimed it. No settlement had ever lasted long. To step on Vardros 9 was to gamble with death itself. But for the first time in history, two Deathworld races would meet there, not as strangers but as rivals. The Korath prepared to test their pride. The humans prepared to prove their place among the stars. The galaxy held its breath. Something greater than war was about to begin. The stormy skies of Vardros 9 flashed with lightning as the first ships descended. The planet was alive with fury. Thunder rolled across black mountains. Rivers of acid steamed through valleys, and beasts the size of fortresses stalked the forests. To most species, this world was a nightmare. To both humans and Korath, it was the perfect battlefield. When the human dropships broke through the clouds, soldiers inside tightened their grips on rifles and blades. The air burned with toxins, but their suits filtered every breath. Fear was in their hearts, but courage sat beside it. Across the horizon, they saw the fires of Korath landing craft striking the surface like falling stars. The challenge had begun. The first days were chaos. Human marines and Korath shock troops clashed in toxic jungles where vines dripped poison, and insects could pierce armor. In those jungles, every fight was brutal. Blades cut, rifles roared, and both sides fell into the mud. When one side gained ground, the planet itself struck back. Storms tore camps apart. Rivers rose and swallowed soldiers. Enormous predators burst from the shadows, forcing human and Korath warriors alike to fight for their lives against the wild. At first, hatred guided every step. The Korath charged with their strength, roaring battle cries, convinced they would crush the humans quickly. The humans fought with grit and cunning, setting ambushes, striking from the shadows, and refusing to fall even when outnumbered. Neither side broke. Neither side yielded. Days stretched into weeks, and still the battle raged. Yet something strange began to happen. One night during a storm that split the skies, a pack of monstrous creatures attacked both armies at once. Their skin was armored like steel, their teeth longer than swords. They struck without fear, tearing through human squads and Korath warbands alike. In the chaos, humans and Korath found themselves fighting side by side, not as enemies but as survivors. A human soldier shouted warnings to a Korath warrior, pulling him out of the path of snapping jaws. A Korath slammed his blade into the beast's eye, saving a group of humans trapped against a cliff. Together, with fire, steel, and unbroken will, they brought the monsters down. When the storm cleared, humans and Korath stood among the fallen beasts, staring at each other. Their weapons were still in their hands, but something had changed. They had seen the fire in each other's eyes. They had recognized the same stubborn refusal to die. That night no one attacked. Both sides nursed their wounds in silence, understanding that the planet was their true enemy. As days passed, more encounters like this followed. A human medic treated a wounded Korath when storms cut them off from their squads. A Korath warlord pulled humans out of a collapsing tunnel, roaring at them to keep running. Slowly, respect grew where once there had been only hatred. The final test came when a beast unlike any other emerged from the heart of the jungle. Taller than mountains, covered in armored scales, its roar shook the ground. Both armies turned their eyes upward as the monster moved toward their camps. It was not a foe that one side could defeat alone. Even the proud Korath knew this. Even the stubborn humans understood. Without words, they joined forces. Human artillery lit the skies. Korath warbands hurled themselves at the monster's legs. Humans launched jetpacks to strike from above, while Korath climbed its armored hide with claws and chains. Hours of battle followed, with both races bleeding, breaking, and refusing to stop. At last, with a final explosion placed deep within the beast's chest, it fell, shaking the planet as it crashed into the jungle. Exhausted, covered in blood and ash, humans and Korath stood side by side. They had faced the worst Vardros 9 could offer, and they had survived, together. The High Commander of the Korath and the human fleet admiral finally met face to face on the broken field. No one spoke at first. The silence was heavy, filled with the weight of battles fought and lives lost. Then the High Commander raised his weapon, not in threat but in salute. "You are Deathworlders," he said in a voice that carried like thunder.
"Not prey, not weak."
"You are like us," the human admiral nodded. His reply was steady and calm. "And you are not alone. From this day the galaxy will know. There are two races who carry the fire of survival." The warriors around them, human and Korath alike, raised their weapons in respect. For the first time there was no war cry, no shout of defiance. Instead there was silence, an unspoken bond forged in storms and blood. When both fleets left Vardros 9, they did not leave as enemies. They left as something greater, rivals who had found equals, warriors who had found brothers. Word spread across the galaxy faster than light. Species who once feared only the Korath now spoke with dread of humanity as well. The legends grew quickly. Humans who built cities on volcanic fire. Humans who laughed under crushing gravity. Humans who faced the storms of Vardros 9 and stood shoulder to shoulder with the most feared warriors in the stars. Together, the humans and the Korath reshaped the galaxy. They did not merge into one empire, nor did they bow to one another. Instead, they stood as allies, two unyielding races who carried the title of Deathworlder with pride. For the galaxy, it was both a warning and a promise, a warning, because now there were not one but two peoples who would never break, never surrender, and never bow, a promise, because in the darkest corners of the universe, when survival seemed impossible, there would always be someone, human or Korath, who knew what it meant to endure. And so the legend began. They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they met humans. From that day forward, no one dared forget it.